Hi, my name is Jeff Crowder, and this is Masonic Youth Television. We are here with Brother Norm Peterson, who has allowed us to have him sit down for an interview. Okay, so Norm, how did you get interested in Masonry?
Okay, I grew up in on a small farm out in the middle of rural America, and I would say there were two reasons that I became interested in masonry. Uh, First of all, my father was rather secretive and private about masonry, and so I didn't learn much from him. But uh, my mother and I would go to public installations once a year, and I really was impressed with the public Masonic installations. In fact, this is an argument in favor of having the installations public in that it gives other people some idea what we're about. I was impressed with the type of things that I saw presented. I sensed that Masonry was somehow universal and somehow very ancient. I didn't have any concept of where there might be another lodge, but I sensed that somewhere in the world there were other lodges that went back a long, long time. So that's how my interest gently became started.
But you joined Freemasonry after the war, or
Yeah, this was considerably later that I joined Masonry. I would say there was another influence that perhaps affected me more. I was in a auxiliary organization comparable to DeMolay Boys, but it was for ages below age 14. There's another fraternal organization that is patterned somewhat after Masonry, known as the Grange. It was invented shortly after the Civil War. And they had a junior organization which you might join at the age of 12. And my mother and father were very active in the Grange, and they had a junior Grange. I joined that, and I found it very interesting. I can still remember there were two signs that we learned. I was, in effect, the senior warden for the junior Grange, and so I was quite interested. And then it so happens in the Grange, you're eligible for senior membership at the age of 14. And so it was seen to be a foregone conclusion. My parents got me into the senior Grange. Actually, it was a couple of weeks before I was eligible. They got me in. And I took the senior Grange very seriously. The fraternal procedure was very impressive, and I really took the Grange very seriously. And this is probably the dominant influence that eventually got me primed and ready to go into the Masonic Lodge. Of course, I had school to finish, I had the military to finish, so I didn't join the Masonic Lodge until I was, maybe somewhere around 24 years old. And so that's how I became interested and got involved.
but the Grange, they also have the same types of rituals.
Oh, the
Ritual stuff.
ritual is fairly similar. I don't think they have as much depth as we have, but it certainly captured my interest.
Yeah. Yeah, what got it for me was growing up in Catholic schools. I used to be an altar boy, and
I see.
and we did a lot of rituals.
Sure.
and I really respected the ancient ritual. You
Yeah,
know,
the
I just-
antiquity of it
Yeah,
all.
exactly. And
Yeah.
so it really impressed me. So when I discovered Freemasonry, it was a good fit.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So what are some of your favorite rituals and rites and
Well, I should explain one thing that will be a surprise. There is a significant Masonic author. I believe his name is Henderson. He's from Australia. He wrote a book on a Masonic World Guide. And it'll be surprising to a lot of people to learn he has determined that there are 100 different versions of the Masonic ritual. And I didn't get exposed to 100. I've never been exposed to that many. But I would say that one of the things that has captured my interest from the very beginning is what I call comparative ritualism. And I find that different rituals in different parts of the world are really quite interesting. Now, Americans are probably different than the British. Americans tend to have a narrower viewpoint, and there seems to be an assumption very prevalent among American Masons that Masonry does not change. It has never changed, and therefore we must not allow it to change. Well, this is a total misconception. This is demonstrated by Henderson's observation that there are approximately 100 different rituals worldwide, and I think the best way for an American to experience this and to be really convinced of it is to visit British Columbia, which I did fairly early in my Masonic life. British Columbia is close at hand, and at the time I visited British Columbia, there were 4 rituals. So obviously, there were 4 different rituals. And we have a kind of an ideal in the United States that ritual proficiency, literal word-by-word proficiency, is an extremely important ideal. And so that a Mason who is very successful in this regard has total proficiency in maybe all 3 degrees, or at least 2 of them. A better example of proficiency would be for American Mason to have total proficiency in 2 versions of 1 degree in British Columbia. I would say this would be very impressive, to be able to sit down and deliver the ritual perfectly in either of 2 versions. I think that it would be a very admirable goal.